Hello and welcome to Talk to the Expert series 156. I am Umayal Subramanian, founder of Spills Play School and an early childhood educator. Today, we have Serena Seibel talking to us about empowering educators with inclusive strategies. So, for the past 3 years, we have been bringing experts to empower parents, foster inclusion, and to change mindsets. So Serena Seibel is founder of CLAIM and she joins us from Italy. So CLAIM stands for Changing Learning to be Accessible, Inclusive and Meaningful. So Serena has over 8 years of experience as an educator and leader and more than a decade of experience in management. She has a strong background in holistic and learner-centered education. She holds a master's in education and has taught in Finland. Her approach emphasizes on inclusion and social and emotional development. She specializes in identifying educational gaps and designing impactful teacher capacity building programs with user involvement. Welcome to Talk to the Expert series, Serena.
Thank you, Umayal, for the introduction, and thank you to the Spectrum Awareness team for this opportunity. Good morning, everyone. I'm Serena, and I'm co-founder of CLAIM. Our organization was created to respond to the need to support teachers in low-resourced and emergency settings, with the tools and the means to deliver quality learning opportunities that include all learners.
So coming to our first question, can you tell us about CLAIM and what is the inspiration or a spark to start this journey and what core mission drive your work?
So as an educator, we've been very aware of the gaps between the way that education today is progressing and becoming more inclusive, more learner-centered, and more engaging for learners, and old and traditional teaching methods in which learners are not involved and teachers are not equipped to include learners of different levels of understanding with different skill sets and different needs. So the moment in which we came up with the idea for CLAIM actually was while visiting a school in Kenya. We met a 19-year-old girl who was attending school since 6 years. She had a late start to her education, and she was unable to read a simple sentence or do a simple math equation. So when taking a look at the reason behind this, how is it that there are children and learners today that attend school and they're not learning anything? We looked into the teaching quality that's in place and the old methods in which teachers they don't have the tools and the means to support learners that need extra support, the lack of resources in many of these settings. And we decided to design something that can support teachers in these specific settings with step-by-step instructions and the tools with which they can deliver quality learning opportunities to learners of all backgrounds and all needs. And they can do it with natural and recycled material. So we created an instructional design that's image-based, so it's very simple, and teachers from all over can use it and step-by-step implement it in their classroom, the strategies that we're providing them. And this is towards our goal to increase the quality of learning and bridge the gap that's there in education for many learners today that do not have access to the support that they need to reach their full potential. So that's our goal today as CLAIM. We're driving educational change and changing the methods that were in place by supporting teachers to deliver inclusive, quality education.
So a classroom is only as strong as its teacher. So how do CLAIM approach the teacher training and help create more inclusive and responsible learning environments?
So our focus as educators What we provide for teachers is the tools to offer a safe, engaging, and inclusive learning space, and the ability to adapt to diverse needs and abilities, and provide quality learning opportunities with available resources. These are all strategies that we empower teachers to be able to do within the learning spaces in which they teach, and conduct play-based activities with natural and recycled material. So it's very learner-centered. There's a strong focus on inclusion. And our approach to teacher training is also inclusive for the teachers. So something that we've noticed in a lot of teacher training programs, we speak of inclusivity when we speak of learners, or teaching should be inclusive. But the teachers are often forgotten in that process. Teacher training programs are often not inclusive for the teachers that they target. And they often forget specific classroom strategies that teachers need to be able to respond to the need. So what we've designed is, as teachers, we know what it's like to be in a classroom with few resources. I myself was a volunteer in an emergency school almost 15 years ago in 2011. And I know what it's like not to have practice, not to have the tools and the means to deliver quality learning opportunities, and what it takes to be able to do so. So these strategies enable learners to thrive at their own pace and level of ability despite the challenging circumstances, and develop social and emotional learning. So there's a very strong focus on social and emotional learning, which is core to inclusion.
Like I saw it, in your first slide, there were sticks that are used as learning materials for the children, and many teachers are not aware that all natural resources can be used for these play-based activities, and recycled materials can be used for play-based activities. So that's a wonderful opportunity you're
Thank
providing
you.
for the teachers. So moving on to the next question. Claim focuses on practical and adaptable teaching methods. So could you share how instructional design and content development support classrooms with less resources, fewer
So
resources?
yes, so our instructional design makes it accessible. I'm sorry, I just don't see that I'm sharing the screen anymore. Can you still see my slides? Okay. Okay, so our instructional design makes it accessible because it's image-based and there's very little text. So something we've noticed in a lot of programs for teachers, they're very much based on the methodologies. There's very much the reason behind what type of learning is necessary, but they don't have specific strategies that teachers need in the classroom with which they can actually implement something. And as teachers, we know what it's like. I've had, in my early years teaching, I had learners with special needs, and especially a specific case in which a learner was very aggressive in the classroom. And as an educator, it's very difficult to be faced with these challenging situations and not have the step-by-step support needed to be able to respond and to be able to support the learner in question. And systems that fail to support teachers in creating inclusive environments and that fail to offer teachers the tools and the necessary support to be able to support these learners, those systems are failing the learners that they're responsible for. They fail to support the learners, they fail to support the families, and it carries its weight on the community because we're no longer in an inclusive space. We are not creating an inclusive environment for learners if teachers do not receive the support necessary to be able to do so. So the instruction design that we've created has a specific focus on being sure that it's something that teachers can visualize, that they can understand, and that they can step-by-step put into practice in their classroom with very simple instructions and images so they can visualize what it looks like in practice. Even if a teacher has never experienced play-based learning themselves, or they've never practiced it in their classroom, with the instructions and the step-by-steps, for example, how to organize the learners into smaller groups, how to address learners, which material can you use, etc., and how to conduct an activity step by step. That's all something in our instructional design that ensures that it's something teachers can use and it's adapted to their needs.
So these are, it shifts the education thing from rote learning to the learner-centric approach. So how does Kling support this transition, especially in the rural and the under-resourced areas?
But thank you for that question. Actually, that question describes our goal. So it's really focusing on this transition between rote learning and the old methods that you mentioned that are in place, and shifting the focus to the learners. So how a teacher can move from being at the front of the classroom, in which the teacher speaks and the learners repeat or they write, but there's very little engagement and there's no space for critical thinking or developing the social skills that are necessary for learners to navigate the different sectors of work and daily life and everything they will need in life. And these methods, the tools that we equip teachers with, facilitate that shift. So from them being at the front of the class with the learners not engaged to learners at the center of their learning, playing games, doing activities, and hands-on activities that are engaging and highly motivating for learners with any resources that they have. So as you can see in the pictures, these are images from a pilot study that we did in Kenya, in which teachers had no material in the classroom with which to play games. And through our guide and our tools, they were able to use sticks, stones, as you can see, bottle tops, and other recycled and natural material to do these activities and games. So the transition from the old teaching methods to learner-centered practice and what we're driving at, this educational change, was possible. And it is possible in these settings and these locations if we equip the teachers with the means to do so.
So basically the teachers from the thing, they say this is a triangle and they draw it on the board and say, and now it has shifted from that to triangle is a three-sided figure and you make it out of sticks. So that's an amazing thing you've been doing. And you're planning to expand globally now. And what are the types of collaborations or partnerships that you're looking forward and hoping to establish, particularly in India?
So what our goal right now to expand is to develop our tool as a mobile app. So the mobile app will facilitate scaling, so being able to reach more teachers. And it's something with which we can also adapt to a broader variety of teachers' needs and different settings. In different locations, teachers have different needs. Teachers who support learners with special needs and disabilities, they might have different requirements or different needs in different settings. So with a mobile app, we can adapt not only the content, but we can adapt the tools and the approach that we provide teachers with, so we can be sure that what we offer teachers is something that works for them in their specific setting, that's tailored to their needs. And the mobile app will also enable us to collect data, so we can see the in-time use that the teachers have of the app, and they can rate the activities and games. So if there are activities or games that do not work for teachers, we can adapt it and be sure that it's constantly being updated together with the teachers. So we have teachers' involvement in what we've designed. And the technology would work offline and online and sustainable. It's a very sustainable solution because it's low resource and it's committed to using locally available resources. And we can also use the data to inform future programs. For example, if when teachers use or they access the app in a specific setting, they have to enter the ratio, the gender ratio, how many girls are in the classroom, how many boys. If we notice in one region there are fewer girls than there should be, then that can inform other projects or other programs to find the needs and to be able to respond to those needs. The same goes for learners with special needs and disabilities. If there are learners with disabilities in a certain location that do not have access to the schools or the learning centers, then this is something that we can also inform other programs and understand why parents are not able to send their children, where are the barriers that prevent these children from having access. So to respond to your question of what we're looking for as far as partnerships go, collaboration and partnerships. So specifically for India, I was born in India. So the opportunity to collaborate on projects there is something very personal to me. As we're looking to expand globally, we're looking to build strong partnerships across sectors with NGOs, foundations, companies, and individuals who share our vision. We could also collaborate with private schools, so we could offer training and support that both strengthen the local capacity and help sustain our work. So for example, if we offer paid for trainings in private schools, the funds that we receive for the trainings could then support the projects that we run in the humanitarian sector or in schools and locations in which the teachers or the facilities do not have the means to provide quality training for the teachers. So we're looking for partnerships with anyone interested in developing tools together in supporting our work, or universities, teacher education institutions. Ultimately, to have a sustainable program, our programs should be integrated into official teacher training programs. So long-term, we'd look for solutions in which we could partner with government or organizations that already work with the government to ensure long-term sustainability and an institutionalization of our approach, so it can become part of education systems and not just one-time initiatives to train teachers in a specific location, but something that could be then developed for the country as a whole.
So if you are looking at this and if you know someone, an NGO or a school or someone who can connect, we have given the contact information for claim in our comments below, and you can contact Serena and make collaborations. So moving on, what specific support or engagement do you hope to receive from the community and organization like us?
So through the network and community, we hope to build meaningful long-term collaborations that support and sustain our initiative. And we're also looking for opportunities to support your initiatives. So if you have initiatives that are already in place, then please reach out, such as I know there's a lot of awareness raising, which is a very important part of what we're doing, and reaching in an inclusive world or transforming education to become inclusive cannot be done without awareness raising. So if there are projects in place, we would be happy to discuss possibilities and ways that we can support the initiatives, provide tools for training teachers or tools for parents, primary caretakers to reach, because we're all working towards the same goals. So as I mentioned before, we need collaborators, partners, and supporters of our work. Not just schools and teachers, but individuals and organizations, and across all sectors. So anyone working in the field who's looking towards, looking to support inclusive projects, please reach out and connect, and we can find a way to collaborate.
That's wonderful. So finally, this is a question we ask all our experts. In your view, how can we, as a broader community, take meaningful steps towards making education more inclusive and equitable for all the learners?
That's such a beautiful question, and it's one that we should all keep asking ourselves. So I think that Spectrum the Awareness Project is already a wonderful example of raising awareness and responding to a very deep and complex need. When thinking of making education more inclusive, I think it's very important to highlight that for education systems to become truly inclusive spaces, The need to raise awareness and drive the necessary change in mindsets goes far beyond classrooms and educational institutions. So it's something that society as a whole needs to become aware of and needs to put strategies and systems and methods in place to change. So George Day said that inclusion is not bringing people into what already exists, it's making a new space and a better space for everyone. So for that to happen, we cannot only focus on classrooms. Supporting teachers with the means to provide inclusive learning and to accept and have respect for all learners, regardless of their needs, regardless of their background, regardless of their origins, is not enough to change society as a whole. If in the classroom, learners have access to a truly inclusive space, but when they leave the classroom, they observe actions and attitudes from other people in society, from their parents, that are in place, then we're not working towards the same goals. Society and mindsets will not change to have a more inclusive space. Education takes place everywhere. To give you an example, not long ago, I was traveling on a train and I observed parents with a maybe 10 or 12-year-old son who was obviously on the spectrum and having a sensory overload. The lights, the sound, the noise on the train was obviously too much for the child. And the parents were responding in the most beautiful way. They were grounding him, speaking calmly, structuring, and providing him the support that they could. But I saw on the faces of everyone else on the train, families, adults, other parents of children, they didn't look on in a supportive way. They look in a judgmental way. The comments and the attitude from society is not inclusive, and it's not supportive of differences. It's not supportive of learners with special needs and disabilities. And instead of looking at parents like that with respect and with support and with admiration, society very often looks at them with judgment. And that's something that needs to change. Education takes place everywhere. Inclusion needs to be integrated into every aspect of society. In businesses, not just teachers with tools and strategies, but society as a whole needs to undergo this important shift in mindset. So I think that social and emotional learning, inclusion awareness and inclusion needs to be integrated into curricula as well. It needs to be something that's part of curriculum, that's being taught in schools, that's being taught everywhere from a very young age, so that it becomes part of mindsets and part of society, so that as individuals, we no longer look at differences or at attitudes or at someone who speaks differently or does differently with a critical view or judgmental, but in a way that's respectful and supportive. So for this, I think that what you're already doing as a community to raise awareness is a very beautiful example, and one that should be extended, to many levels to really drive the change that's necessary to have an inclusive society all around us as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing us this. So now we are, as education system is like standardized test, and which everybody is, supposed to pass out, come out with flying colors. So if you are not able to pass out that standardized test, you are labeled as slow learners or someone who's not able to learn. Um, but education does not only mean passing standardized tests. Education should be more reflection based on hands-on activities, and assessment should be done in various domains, not just, now it is mainly on language, um, maths, and science. So assessment should be done on various parameters for children to be more inclusive. The cognitive skills, the communication skills, all that matters. So thank you for such an eye-opening session, and we look forward for many of you who are watching this to collaborate with Serena and Clay. And we at the Spectrum Autism are creating awareness and acceptance for inclusion, and we will continue to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.